All right, you guys, welcome. It's good. I'm glad you're here. Um, Thank you for the previous watches on the other videos that we had. God, what a great interview! The last two interviews that we've had, all of them have been great. But the last one with Clayton Holmes, you all got to meet Clayton. If you don't, and then some of you had told me you looked him up and found out he was a Super Bowl champion for the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, he was. But definitely switched his definitely his Super Bowl is something different these days, right? As we could see. And then Charles Neo, oh man, he really brought it home with the currency, balancing that out into the reality of instrumental and of how deep and how connected we are to our energetic field. And he was just making the point, it's not about chasing something, right? It's about having your currency work for you and being a magnet and drawing itself to you. So but I want to thank you for all the watches. Those watches are going up exponentially every day, I notice. And also the last one I had dropped about esoteric and exoteric, which just really came out yesterday. That was powerful. Just trying to set a foundation for some of you who may not know. And if you know, I know you know. I know you're in a different place, and look at my background. You can see the antennas coming out of my head. I keep saying we're frequency and our hair is antennas, right? That's even similar to the symbol of to go that way. Yes, the symbol of the crown of thorns, right? That's what the crown of thorns would be that going out. Frequency vibration, raising your Christ consciousness. But let's not whittle around here. I'm getting into something today that we have talked about, and it actually has went into being my number one watch video is about the demiurge. Um, and we're going to talk again today about the demiurge. We're going to go a couple different places. I'm going to have some dynamic stuff I'm going to bring out, and we're going to do it today. We're going to bring out the demiurge. My next one I got lined up is going to be about Albert Pike. Ever heard of him? Well, if you haven't, you will, and them that know what Albert Pike has been. And we will bring out Albert Pike in his book, Morals and Dogma, and some of the things he said in that book, and actually shared some of the planning that we have seen over the years and decades. So without further ado, let's get to the screen share. And definitely, we're going to share. And we're going to do this in a very, how can I say it? Where are we at? Where are you guys at in this? Definitely, this is in my way. Probably you guys don't see it. Let me move it up above. And I was trying to get my trusty glasses to get here because I wanted to kind of put this page a little bit in. Let me see if I can do this and kind of, no, that's not what I'm looking for. But anyways, we're going to get into some of this right now, right? We're going to get into this right now with the demiurge. We're going to start with a little, we're going to start right here with etymology. And talk. So right away, you see, as we opened up the trusty screen sharing, I know you guys see it too, right? It's right there for you, the screen sharing. Notice demiurge, 1670s, from Latinized form of Greek, demo or ergos, literally public or skilled worker for the people, from demos, common people, has demotic, right? From work, ergon work, the title of the magistrate, right? As you go down, and you'll see where it's coming from, and then the magistrate, and then the Pelos, what is it? Peloponnesian city-states, and taken in Platonic philosophy as a name of the maker of the world. This would go back to when Jesus said that I'm not of the world, I'm in the world and not of it, and you are of your the god of this world. He was actually the god of this world, who many in the dogma will always say Satan, Satan. It's that it goes into the demiurge. And the one that's promoted in the demiurge is really the one that you think that has been promoted as being both. But watch this. So the Platonic philosophy is the name or the maker of the world in the Gnostic. Notice it says in the Gnostic work, or the Gnostic, uh, uh, in the Gnostic system, he's conceived as being subordinate to the supreme being, and sometimes as the author of evil. This would be go into what we even see in especially Old Testament, right? Not so much the New Testament story, but the Old Testament story goes into a lot of what we see with this. I made good and evil for my purpose. I want you to be like me, but when you come like me, I get angry and I get jealous, and I'm always angry and jealous and always knocking you down, taking you out of things, always angry, repenting that I made man. They became like me, so I got to confuse their language. Always in a competition, like an immature child, right? Always in a competition, saying one thing and then turning around to do another. We got the 10 laws of Moses, and then guess what happens? We got this law giver, law taker, and then all of a sudden, but then later on they go to war, and he's like, kill them all, and don't kill their children, kill their cattle, and kill all their food. I mean, just destroyer. Always promoting one side or both sides, and usually the one side that promotes is the one that does not benefit humanity. When I look in this reality, I see that this somewhat is what we see with the demiurge, right? The powers that be, the god of this world, right? The demiurge. So what we're going to do, make a little change here. So you see in here, what the demiurge is being, he's subordinate to the supreme being. And sometimes the author of evil, and I went over it, if you have not seen it, right, you're going to and if you go down here a little bit more, you see it's the Proto-Indo-European, meaning to divide, a daemon, which is a demon, a demiurge, a democracy, which doesn't surprise me what we see now, a demon, a demonic dole, an epidemic, eudaimonic, and on, ordeal, pandemic, pandemonium, always divide and conquer mentality, right? Always tides, always the rise and fall, always nothing's consistent, nothing stays in a harmony state of balance. That's what I really have noticed. It's really hit me even to a different degree the last 6 or 7 months, how we are not operating in that at all, right? We're not operating in always a balance. It's always imbalance. We're always trying to be balanced. And balance, like I was had a good conversation with somebody, like balance is never something you achieve. It's always something that you always maintain. You always are balancing yourself. And then when we have a system like this, in a world like this, you really have to be on it and be aware all the time, because it's always pendulum swinging and never coming to the center. All right, so what we're going to do here, let's see if you see it. I believe you do. What do we see here? We definitely see the demiurge Wikipedia, right? There's some good books about it, the demiurge. Let's bring it a little closer to me to read. As you see, it was Platonic, Neo-Pythagorean, Middle Platonic schools of philosophy. The demiurge, sometimes spelled demiurge, is an artisan-like figure responsible for fashioning, maintaining the physical world. The Gnostics adopted the term demiurge through a fashioner. Demiurge is not necessarily the same as the creator figure in monotheist sense, because the demiurge itself and the material form of the demiurge fashions the universe are both considered consequences of something else, depending on the system, may be considered either uncreated or eternal, or a product of some other entity. And as we go down, we can see that the whole aspect of what the demiurge is, right? Let's go down a little farther. And you can see it refers to the frequently used in different Aegis by there's your Neo-Pythagorean cosmologies, and all that would deal. And here we go. Gnosticism is the demiurge, right? The unknowable. Gnosticism presents a distinct difference between the highest and unknowable God of supreme being and the demiurgic, the creative material identified in some traditions as the one I was just talking about, Yahweh, the God of the Hebrew Bible. Several systems of Gnostics through present demiurge as agnostic to the will of the supreme being, right? The demiurge portrays itself as merely an incompetent, foolish creation. And if you remember, we went over the demiurge or Yada Baal, which is the other one besides Yahweh. It's Yada Baal, and his name may pop up here. Yada Baal in the secret book of John is stole his power, took it, and went on his own and started doing things that were necessarily advantageous for the people. And he separated from Sophia and was trying not to hear, but he was considered by them of the upper council, the true God, even Sophia, who felt she made the mistake and went into repentance over birthing Yada Baal in the story, secret book of John, Yada Baal. And then what happens is he creates without any wisdom. He had the power that he took. He created without wisdom, without any counsel, and was ignorant. And that's what it says in the secret of John, just ignorance. And ignorance means not knowing, right? So when you go in here, you see the different stories connected to the angels and what happened. And here we go into the bottom. It talks about Yad Baal, right? Yad Baal, and that's the one I was saying, the secret book of John. The doctrine of Valentinus making the world is ascribed to a company of 7 archons whose names are given, still prominent. Their chief, Yada Baal, known as Yada Baal, or Lada Baal. His name is Yada Baal, and then it goes on. You'll see some of the names of the angels in the story. He is a demiurge, a maker of man, maker of the physical, but as a ray of light from above enters the body of man and gives him a soul, Yada Baal was filled with envy. And this is the envy that you start seeing when he's repenting that he made man, because that aspect of the true energetic God was there through Sophia, but he was ignorant of the use in having any wisdom, how to correlate this, was left on his own, didn't have no wisdom. But then he realized when man, you, me, were created, what happened was he became a little jealous and envious and strifeful and always never settled and always wanting to destroy something and build something and repenting and just anger. And then if you look at a lot of the stories of Yada Baal, and then we look at Yahweh, what is he always doing? He's always doing stuff that when you really use your common sense and see through this and start awakening, he's like Yada Baal is very much like the demiurge. We see it in the Old Testament. Yada Baal is the same as Yahweh. And what is Yahweh always doing? Always trying to do something opposite of what he said the first time, and always reneging on his deals, and always angry, always envious, and always trying to get back at, and even worried that he even said, I repented that I made him, even though I told him I wanted him to be the capsule entity of me, the copycat of me after my own self. But when I seen they had this light that I didn't understand and comprehend that I wasn't using, he became envious, and so did his other creations, the demons and the angels, when you see it. So he enters the body of man and gives him a soul. Yada Baal is filled with envy. He tries to limit man's knowledge by forbidding him the fruit of the knowledge of paradise, right? At the consumption of all things, light will return to pleroma, but Yada Baal, the demiurge with the material world, are cast into a lower depths, the underworld. And that's why you see, I see it. That's why you see what you see now with everything, is that it's exactly this. This is exactly what's happening in the situation, right? You see this. It's happening here all the time. He said the one thing but did another, so he became envious. And what did he say? Besides me, there's no other. I'm the only one you hear. I create good and evil for my own purpose. But in the story, he's kind of envious because he sees there's aspects. That's why you see through the story, he gives them not real knowledge. He's trying to wink, wink. What have we been experiencing, folks? Dogma. I just put it out in dogma, esoteric and exoteric. When you put out the exoteric and never develop the esoteric to the people after they get a little bit older and a little bit more mature, you handcuff them and then they have belief systems and opinions that are not true. They're not built in the fullness of they are, because he's trapped him. He's went to a lower pit. He wants to take you to the lower pit, and then the lower pit is what most people believe is the original. That's why I was saying, wakey, it's time to wake. The demiurge. So when you go down and see it, cast in the lower depths, right? You can call it hell. And if you go down, you can see there's a story. It's a good story. Found in this was found in the, he's also even called the archetype in the book of Jude, right? But this isn't the only one. As you go down a little farther, you're going to find out that this was Samuel means blind God or God of the blind down here, right here where I'm at. So this even will go into the etymology. Yad-obeh has been subject to many speculative theories until 1974. Etymologies deriving from the unattested Aramaic, right, supposedly meaning chaos, represented the majority view following an analyst of Jewish history of the Gershon Solom. So they agree it's chaos. What do we see? Chaos. I tell you, nothing goes to balance in this reality. Yad-obeh, Yahweh, the demiurge. And then what's, especially I can get on the Old Testament, knowing it like I do. Yeah. Thou shalt nots, and then you're telling them to do it all. Thou shalt nots, thou shalt nots, thou shalt not. Then you tell them to kill all of them, kill the children, kill all their cattle, steal it from them. Let me promise you a land flowing with milk and honey. But when we get there, you're going to realize it belongs to somebody else, and you got to go to war and steal it from them. It's called thievery. Yad-obeh, Yahweh, the demiurge. Come on now. It's right in front of our face. It's the waking up. Hidden in plain sight is taking the veil off our eyes. The veil is revelation. Book of Revelation, the word revelation means hidden meanings, hidden. It's been veiled to you. There's been a veil over it. But now the veil's coming off our mind, right? It's coming off our mind and our eyes, and we're opening up that third eye, and we're seeing things spiritual. And now things that used to seem like they were part of what it was, but there's a lot of you I've met are free thinkers and question a lot of stuff. And that's how you walk in. Brother James, we had a video. James always said folks aren't curious. And to him, that's a problem. When you're not curious, you're not thinking about stuff. You're just kind of just accepting and living and not looking into stuff. So not looking into truth, not trying to find more truth. So when you go down here, right in here, right? Seemingly, this claim, the translation has been transposed reading of an earlier etymology. The explanation seemingly equated darkness and chaos. Plural form of Hebrew. Samuel, which is one of the angels in the story, Samael, one of the archons, literally means blind God. And I did not know that. Think about the book of Samuel. Now I'm wondering if that's it is. Consider not only ignorant of his own origins, and that's the thing. Ignorant of his own origins is Yad-obeh and Yahweh. They're ignorant. They don't know whence and hence they come. They stole some power from whence and hence they came, which was the feminine aspect of Sophia in the Yad-obeh story, right? And then Sophia, what's Sophia do? Sophia repents, goes to the consort or the higher court of God, the higher realms, gets forgiven, but the deed was done and she didn't get consent herself, but it created a monster named Yad-obeh, which, as you've seen, is bathing in ignorance of the lower self, actually a fool is also known as, another example is Aramaic Saklas, which I remember that in the book. Read this if you have time, all of it, for fool in the Apocrypha of John. Okay, I got that. Yadabaoth is also known as Samuel in Sakla. The angelic name Ariel, the Lion of God, also used to refer to the demiurge, called its perfect name in some Gnostic lore. Ariel has been called the ancient name of Ladabaoth or Idabaoth. The name also been inscribed in amulets. Ariel Ladabaoth has a figure of an archon inscribed as Ariel. So these are the angels that because he's got angels and demons he created. See the devil and all that, and they all get even angry with him. This goes into Gnosticism. We'll do that one other time, but we can we'll kind of go down from here. All right. So when we look at this, what do you see? I see the reality that we've been living in. Nothing, I just really noticed nothing ever goes into balance. We've been taught from the lower realms. We've been taught that things that are not so. One more time, to those who know that aren't so. We even see a lot of the stuff that's presented to us are not so. And we notice there's never any balance of people balancing the good. But when I go mingle with people, even in the community, not even those who I even know what level they are, except if my discernment's really kicking in or open. But in general, people will treat you kind if you're kind to them. If you treat them well, give them kind words, excuse me, hold doors open, you'll see that usually what you get back will be that same level of gratitude, right? But when we look at this reality, it's a pendulum swing. And as you've seen, he was sent and operated from the lower depths of self, kind of like we do, right? He was Yadabaoth, the demiurge, went down and resided in what we call hell, or the underworld, right? The underworld. And he's propagating things that just aren't imbalanced. No balance. Don't make those who know. We know it's jive time. It's not true. And then we like we talked about on the last video I mentioned and put out, was when you're dealing with two levels, right, of things. You're dealing with esoteric and exoteric. That esoteric was for the public, and they were never going to get the esoteric because that was the club. The esoteric meaning was it was an inner circle where you're going to find out what the truth is, while the public was given. Now that goes into a scripture and said, even the crumbs off the master's table, that you eat, meaning the dogma, and it's dogma. Dogma is the outside public, like I said. So you see the correlation of, and then Jesus said it many times, because if you take a look at the story of the New Testament, Jesus doesn't act like the demiurge in his story. He doesn't. Really, his parables and stuff are very strong, whether it's historical or not, but that's besides the point. The message of the Christ is actually, you got to know it's in you. And I mean, know it's in you. And experience that's in you. Got to know, because you've seen the ignorance of even this God, right? This demiurge, ignorant. Go read that again. Read the whole thing if you want. I'll get into the Gnostic stuff, Gospels. Actually have the book I go through, the Lost Scriptures, found in, I believe, 1945 or 48 in the Dead Sea Scrolls, that specifically a church worried about them and wanted to apprehend them before the ones who found them did. And they didn't. Good job. They didn't. Way to stay. And now we can actually read it and see it. Because everything that's canonized was canonized by a group of people. Yeah, but the demiurge. The truth's in you. That's what they can't hide. But you got to turn on the light and let it really awaken you. So I just wanted to follow up with this and kind of go over the demiurge meaning, which we've seen, but then go into what the demiurge was in the religions. The demiurge is even connected to other other religions, they talk about it. Maybe go that, because if you go into that deeper, we'll go into that. But I just wanted to show you, know thyself. This is the time to know thyself. Empower yourself. See yourself as you are. Let that light shine. It will work on you. There's some pain in it. You're going to go after your shadow self, but you're going to learn that your shadow self has its place. You don't banish it, but it's like your ego. You don't kill, and I don't believe you kill your ego. But what you do is not let it have its place to power, and you recognize when it's trying to get in. You know what things are your weaknesses the ego can try to slide on through, right? It'd be the same thing as ego. Emotions, you can't kill them. They can serve you, but they can also be a bad taskmaster if your if your emotions are your leaders, right? If your emotions are the one that leads you, you're like yada demiurge. What did it say? Like the water to the sea. What does that mean? The water comes in and it goes out. It's unstable. You can't walk on it. Wink, wink. But you can walk on your emotions. Esoteric. When you learn how to keep your emotions under your feet, which means your understanding and your foundations, your emotions aren't your leader. That's walking on water. In a very deeper esoteric, you've been initiated way, right? But also when you do this, you are going to learn to access yourself, right? And as you access yourself, what's going to happen with the accessing of yourself? You're going to have more knowledge and wisdom and learn keys, not somebody else's keys. You become your own key maker. That shout out to Seven for that years ago. We did the series on the key makers. Because when you make your own key, you have your own access that nobody has. To who? You. Don't give it away, and they give it away now. That was a bad Red Hot Chili Peppers. Another song with the Red Hot Chili Peppers was that song about Californication, going to outer space, but recording it in a basement in Hollywood. Going to the moon, but recording it in your basement in Hollywood. That's from the song Californication. I'm not digging the song. Some people ask me to break down songs and the esoteric meaning of them, because there are. And I thought about it. But if you want me to, let me know. I'd do it. If not, then it's okay. Because I thought this is what I like to do. This is who I am. But anyways, I really enjoyed this today. Really did. Remember this, the demiurge. Revisiting the demiurge. You guys have a great day.